Yvette, you're shaking your head. You know, you don't think you're being oversensitive here?
No, I don't. I mean, first of all, you know, as a plus-size woman, you know, it's fantastic to have a middle-aged man come on and mansplain to me why I shouldn't be offended by a song that talks about plus-size women, so thank you so much for that.
In Shrek, where the donkey starts singing, I like big butts, but I cannot lie. I mean, you know, my children watch that movie millions of times. No one's ever expressed any form of offence. It's called fun, Yvette. It's called having a bit of fun. I don't think I've said anything about plus-size women. I don't even know what your point is. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're a plus-size woman, so I can't listen to Fat Bottom Girls by Queen.
Now I want to talk to you about Queen. Not the Queen, or Queen, your aunt's cat, but the band Queen. One of the most popular bands of all time, with Freddie Mercury at the helm and all their exploits, and they even had a biopic come out. This was a couple of years ago, or maybe last year, Bohemian Rhapsody. Most everyone's heard at least a few Queen songs. Well, I guess what I can tell you is Queen is canceled. That's right. And willingly so, by the way, simply because of a song that was written 50 years ago called Fat Bottom Girls. Matt Walsh tweets, I regret to inform you that they've canceled Queen. Story is just a boomer bait Fox News fake controversy. All they did was leave Fat Bottom Girls off an audio platform specifically designed for young children. Seems like a reasonable decision. Nobody has been canceled. Well, let's take a look. I'm not exactly sure about that. And by the way, is that even, I mean, kids are listening to WAP and all this other stuff. Don't stop Fat Bottom Girls from making the rockin' world go round. Fat Bottom Girls is apparently no longer allowed to make the rockin' world go round. At least that's according to a streaming service, Yodo, which recently released Queen's Greatest Hits album with track 5, its iconic Fat Bottom Girls, glaringly omitted. What today would be considered what today would be considered a body positivity anthem comes nowhere near the threshold of offensive or obscene. Yet the Fat Bottom Girls debacle is just the latest in instances of classics being censored to appease modern sensitivities. In fact, classic music and classic books alike have been retroactively sanitized in recent years to protect kids. Now, while Matt Walsh may be correct about this particular cancellation, maybe, there have been many other examples of classics being sanitized as to not affect modern sensitivities. And I think every time something like this happens, it's a great opportunity to discuss the insanity that surrounds us every day. Just look at the Dr. Seuss estate, which took 6 entire books, including And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street and Beyond Zebra, from print back in 2021, citing supposedly offensive content in the picture books. And over the decades, Richard Sky's classics children's books have been retroactively tinkered time and time again by sensitivity readers. Editors sought to counteract gender stereotypes by making a policeman bear wear into a policewoman bear, and swapping out an illustration of a mom cat pushing a stroller for a dad cat. You look at these individual things and you think, well, that's not that big of a deal, right? And it isn't. They'd make a small change to a Dr. Seuss book. Big whoop. A policewoman grizzly bear is now a policeman grizzly bear. You think, okay, it's not important. And you know what? In the world where we literally must pick our battles because of limited resources, both time, which is the most important one, and obviously money and all these other things in order to, actually boycott all these things and constantly be angry about things. It's not the biggest issue. But the problem is, and I just think it's worth discussing, is the slippery slope of it all, right? In a classic example of censorship backfiring, original editions of Dahl's books started selling for thousands more on eBay following the news that Dr. Seuss blacklisted titles fired to the top of Amazon charts. Perhaps Fat Bottom Girls will see a resurgence too. The whole Queen ordeal is pretty laughable considering most of the songs that top the charts today make Fat Bottom Girls sound as innocuous as Row, Row, Row Your Boat. As someone who was brought up in the era of YouTube and music streaming, I know firsthand that just about any music you could imagine available at your fingertips as a kid, whether the censors like it or not. Take, for instance, Megan Thee Stallion's smash hit Plan B. The first verse, which declares, "Dear effing N-word, I still can't believe I used to F you, poppin' Plan Bs, cause I ain't planned to be stuck with you." Or who could forget Cardi B's smash hit WAP? The Greatest Hits album, listening on Yodo, comes with a parental discretion warning about references to all sorts of adult themes, and yet still goes on to censor one of the band's most iconic tunes. But while Fat Bottom Girls got axed, 16 Queen tracks did make the cut, including the good old-fashioned Lover Boy, in which a dinner date is propositioned, and a bicycle race, which includes a reference to the forbidden Fat Bottom Girls. Given the music they grew up on, it's difficult to imagine any kid even flinching at a Queen classic. Anyone trying to kid-proof the world will find themselves in a constant game of whack-a-mole. It's time for the censors to cool it. Well, here's the thing. They're not trying to censor the world, right? They're trying to, they want the kids to listen to WAP. They want the kids to listen to Plan B. You see right here, Queen Greatest Hits on Plan, when you look at it, this is a website for kids. Do I think Fat Bottom Girls is particularly offensive? No. But if you look at it, this is just like an audio book. I don't know. It's just if you look at who they are, right? This is kind of a minor nothing burger. My co-founder Philippe and I were talking about the challenges of modern parenting. We both had nagging concerns about the effects of excess screen time for young children with potential negatives around sleep disruption, fine motor control development, and addictiveness of screens make us think twice about putting our kids in front of a screen. So they have all these products for young kids. You see Queen agreed to cut Fat Bottom Girls for kids' music platform. Now, any adult who's having, who isn't a total degenerate, granted there are things that Queen did and said in their use, but, somebody says, hey, I think, we're a kids' music platform. There's this one song, maybe we want to cut off your greatest hits because we're a kids' platform. I think that probably only makes Queen more based. Like, Queen was probably like, okay, cool. You're a kids' platform. Maybe this music isn't for kids. Any surviving members of this band have to be in their 70s. A disclaimer on the children's site says tracks use our original and unedited recordings, adding, whilst no swear words are used, parental discretion is advised when playing this content to or around young kids. Folks online have been angry at Yodo for cutting Fat Bottom Girls, but it sounds like they'll have to take that up with the band, not the kids app, because Queen themselves is cool with it. Now, we do know, for a fact that bands are totally fine being self-censoring now and pulling up the ladder behind them. I suspect in Freddie Mercury's heyday, he probably would not have been okay with it. But, at the end of the day, this one, it's someone says it's woke gone mad. Why not appreciate people of all shapes and sizes like society is saying we should, rather than get rid of it? Fox News contributor John Joe Concha weighed in Monday, blasting the omission as utterly ridiculous, telling Fox and Friends anchors that the band took chances and pushed the envelope with their innovation and politically incorrect music. To say outright that song never existed is utterly ridiculous. I think that this is a good example of one that we can just let slide, because like the band's okay with it. It's a platform for kids' music. In fact, that if that platform is consistent, right? If they're consistent by, removing this stuff, keeping it family friendly, I actually don't have any problem with it. Like legitimately. Now, I don't know exactly how many songs they have, but it looks like they're very, very clearly, you have kid stories. So I don't know. I think this one's pretty much a nothing burger, but it is important to always discuss the slippery slope that seems to happen with this kind of stuff.